Yeah.
Well,
ready?
Act like the lights were never here. Like you were just still talking. Right. Continue what you were saying.
3, 2, 1, we're on.
So, we're on. So obviously we're here. We're at the Capitol, OKC.
Yes, we're
one of the things that we were over there marching for against Child Protective Services. We were obviously having a dialogue regarding what was happening here, and we came over here, right?
Right.
And when we came over here, we just came here peacefully. Had an amazing dialogue with the individuals that are there exercising the First Amendment, and we had amazing dialogue. And obviously, there's a lot of misperception, or actually a lot of
misconceptions,
or miscommunications.
Well, lack of communication.
That too, and not enough dialogue. And I think that the media, especially Channel 9 News, Channel 9. Would you agree?
Yes.
Wants us divided. Instigators. Because they, like for instance, our friend Tim Harper, they painted him as a racist, right? And he has a right to exercise his First and Second Amendment without causing any bodily harm or destruction of property. So Tim Harper did what was lawfully right, going and exercising those two, the First Amendment and Second Amendment within the Bill of Rights. No different than the people up here. But it's the perception from Channel 9 News here in Oklahoma and other news medias that want us divided. And all they put on is, Antifa, Black Lives Matter, destroying public and private property. But not all of them think that way, obviously, from what we gathered. We've been here maybe, 2 or 3 hours talking to them?
Yep.
So these people are actually here exercising their First Amendment, as they should, as every God-loving American.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Before I left the house to come out here, some people called me about what was going on, and they saw pictures of the people on the steps, and they said things to me like, "Well, let's run them out of there." And I said, "Why? Why? They're on public property. They have every right to be there, just as much as right as we have to be there."
That's right.
So why would you even suggest that? If you're a so-called patriot, you would believe in the First Amendment and public property rights, and how this is the public space. This is the front yard of the people's house, and we are the people.
Right. And I'm glad you said that, because we as God-loving Americans, we should be working together, united. Obviously, what's happening behind these walls and behind the Supreme Court justice and behind the lobbyists, they want us divided. You know why they want us divided? Because they know money does not discriminate. And there's always somebody that's going to make a buck out of this movement. And when you have George Soros coming in here and giving the American Bar Association $10 million, it wasn't $10 million because of the Bar Association, or because of their fancy suits and ties, or because of their beautiful smile, or how they communicate a little dialogue, the uppity up talk. $10 million buys you to do whatever the hell you want. Steal land from a rancher, like what happened with the Hammonds, and what they try to happen with the Bundys.
The Bundys and poor Lavoy Finicum.
And Robert Lavoy Finnegan. No different what they're doing. We're just getting played by these criminals because all they want is to keep us distracted and fight amongst each other. And can you imagine if we all come together as God-loving Americans and figure out that the members of the American Bar Association that is in bed with George Soros, the Clinton Foundation, the Clinton Global Initiative, or the Rockefeller Foundation, including here Kaiser, in which Kaiser is extremely in bed and corrupting these bureaucrats or public servants. And the reason why I'm mentioning all this is because now we all, as God-loving Americans here in the state of Oklahoma, in the great state of Oklahoma, where you think these Democrats and Republicans behind this building are not going to pass a vaccine mandate here? And until the people of Oklahoma decides to read what's being involved regarding the budget and what's being rolled out for our children, it's going to be against the whole thing about the Oklahoma Constitution. Because they've already been bought and sold by the lobbyists over there behind that building, the Wolf building, coming over here and corrupting the criminals behind these walls, so they can go ahead and force vaccines on your children. But we can't talk about that. Channel 5 won't talk about that. Channel 9 won't talk about that. Or any freaking media won't talk about it, because you know what? They're too busy reporting like Tim Harper and other God-loving Americans as racist. All right, or white supremacists, and then grabbing these people and putting them like a stigma of BLM and Black Lives Matter, So it's all about stigma and perception. And until we overlook that in regards to who is paying for all this, how come there's no international warrants? on these criminals that wants to destroy not just the foundation of this country regarding the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, and the Constitution, but what America is, what makes America great. And what makes it great is all of us coming together. Donald Judge Trump cannot do this by himself. We have Republican rhinos and Democrats in bed to destroy this country.
Dinos.
And to pin us
Dinos
together.
and rhinos.
Would you agree with that?
Yes.
And that's what's happening. And we had an amazing dialogue. So why shouldn't we have more of this dialogue? Why shouldn't we be
to paraphrase and quote our current governor, we should have more dialogue across all sides, and then the turnaround can begin right here, right now, to make Oklahoma a top 10 state.
Why not? Matter of fact, why not number one? Right? Why not number one, just like every other state? Why can't we fight to make ourselves better? Because you know what? We have a lot of brothers and sisters, black, white, Asians, Hispanics, being exploited by this government, by the treasonous government behind here. The Republicans and Democrats.
Well, that's what I see is people they're not educated in what's really going on around them, and they're occupied with their shopping malls and their baseball games and their high school sports, and they don't even know what's going on behind those walls.
No, matter of fact,
they're ignorant of the facts, and then things pop up. Things pop up. And they don't know what's happening.
Our brother Tim Harper is going through a lot of stuff, right? He shouldn't be going through that because somebody in AK2A decided to backstab him and not support him.
Yeah, we've got some drama happening over here.
Yeah, we have it, but there has to be dialogue. We had it all under control, all nice conversations until certain people come in and want that. And there's instigators, there's agitators on both groups. Both groups, and there has to be a dialogue. Not see. So we had a peaceful conversation. So who came over here to cause this ruckus?
Yeah.
You understand? If we're having a peaceful conversation, and one person comes in and tries us doing it, well, what are we talking about? I thought we were out here trying to have an understanding. So, we need to have an understanding. We need to help each other and make sure that we have an open dialogue. That's why we need to happen. And obviously, it has to be more than that. And actually, we should be better than this. So
We'll see if we can de-escalate this.
yeah, we will. We will.
All right, I'm going to step away and get some of this because this is some nonsense.
Yeah.
It's fucking with the dick 20 times bigger than yours. That's the size of my penis. I just know.
This is what they want. They want
No, I didn't.
somebody
You did.
on our side to fucking start shit, and that's not what we're here for.
I didn't start this shit. I believe I was literally having a lovely conversation when these two fucking retards walked up talking about, we're here to make sure you're not burning shit. Where's the fucking fire?
There's not one, right? We're here.
No, it's not because you're fucking here. I've been out here every goddamn day for 3 months and not set a goddamn fucking thing on fire. You dumb retarded
None
fuck.
of you fucks are gonna burn nothing.
Excuse me?
Guys.
No one here is planning on burning anything.
And we shouldn't yell at each other either.
No, I'm gonna kick it. No, I already left that. That's why I'm way over here.
You heard what happened
Outside of the fucking thing.
tomorrow? There's no one here.
There's literally no fire. There is no.
Did he get touched?
They're sitting in a fucking
That's what I hate.
That's what we hate.
Like last night when they totally protected the Capitol from us vandalizing it. Only that we weren't here to vandalize it. We were here to give speeches. Yeah.
So that way she's not yelling and your people aren't yelling.
We're gonna tell the police now? No. Then you can be with them. I have already left
You don't
that.
want to talk over there.
I have already decided to be on this side. I would bury
I'm trying to get you away from my people.
which is exactly where they asked me to go.
One person
If we didn't want to do what they were doing. So here I am, and I was having a lovely discussion and learning things about the other side, and they were learning things about our side, and it was actually going really well until Derpy McFuckstick decided to accuse us of trying to burn shit.
Y'all got something to talk about. Talk about that.
Oh my God.
Because this shit right here is fucking ridiculous. We're never gonna make a difference. And nobody's ever gonna make
It
change.
didn't even fucking stop anything from getting little
What's going on, fellow Americans? I'm living the dream.
Literally only here for that.
The craziest places.
No little green hat today? At all? Ever? What happened with that?
I'm in the downtown.
Okay.
She actually, we saw some good
I don't know what any of that means, but sounds like an improvement. Are you moving up?
So I was actually having a really
All right.
I'm not saying that there's
These
no one
guys,
that has intermittent.
that
I don't
guy,
want to
yeah, Jason and Dylan, they're cool.
I don't like any
They're
Republicans.
libertarians. They're not really wrong with us, but they're not like assholes. And so we were having some open dialogue discussion.
Honestly, you kind of came in a
little
standoffish. You could have been a little more laid back.
If you had come out here and saw,
I don't think so.
but hey, I understand you coming from
It's like, we're here to protect
when I was doing that, and you're the only one using
burning
verbal.
shit.
That's what we want. I know you're not. That's where I have not.
Yeah.
But what you're doing is you said all your thoughts, you watch your buddies, and stuff like that. But have I done that to you?
She was.
So I know what it is, but that's one thing.
The only reason you're not burning this place down is because I promise you, if I wanted to,
You've been a dick to me, but I've not called you out on it because I'm trying to be dead. Is that what she just said? She's not saying that, but again, man, there's enough people here on both sides. You couldn't roll me over if I was dead, bitch. Okay, I'm not gonna handle that either, man. So if you're not willing to open up a
I was
dialogue,
having a lovely conversation with all kinds of open discussion on both sides.
I'm not going to talk to you. You're just going to.
because my thing is, you're not gonna sit there and call my allies bitches. The same thing when we're fighting for women's rights. Just call them
I said, fuck off.
Okay.
And then I said, if I want to.
But look at how you pulled up.
Let's just disengage.
Look at how you pulled up.
Because
You guys are welcome to gather over there.
You guys have any problem?
Act like
Was I not peaceful to you? No, you weren't. When I walked up?
Man,
When you walked up, you almost
They
refused to
walked up
shake
to
my
me
hand.
respectfully,
You almost seemed like a red.
I had actually fairly decent here to create problems. I had a fairly decent dialogue. I know.
and then sat there.
So if you know that, then just stop saying
And
the
this
same
fucking
things that you keep saying, which is that we're here to
Let's
tear
try
up the
this.
place.
I had a fairly decent
walk
dialogue.
up and be like, well, we're here to make sure you guys are burning shit down.
And let's
The
try
only
this
reason you're not burning
again.
it down
Y'all
is because
don't
we're
have
here.
to be.
I promise you, bro,
Y'all don't
if
have
I
to be
wanted
like
to
that.
burn it down,
Sometimes some
you're
people
present,
just
not me.
and honestly,
And that's fine. So if you and her don't get along, would it not be fair to keep you and her separate and for the rest of us to have a peace? Sure. If you're going home, well, that's fine, but I still would love to talk to you guys because I want to know where you're coming from.
The only reason why we're here is because of what's going on in the United States. Because of the same organizations that stand for what you're standing for, the Black Lives Matter, right?
So do you
Is that what your whole idea of Black Lives Matter?
No.
What are you here for?
I'm here for American
shot by police. Is that why you're here?
police absolutely. Defunding the police, absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. People that agreed with the same thing that you're standing
So
up here for.
same things. So
I'm not saying that those people were the ones burning, but some of the people that are around
what
that
about the
group are
KKK,
burning.
my friend?
I don't know anything about it.
Well, I mean, you can say the same thing about you being a Trump supporter, man.
So
No, he's saying that the Antifas have some, or the people in this movement, that there are some bad apples in jail, some bad apples. You can say the same thing, that there are some hateful ass Trump supporters. And that's why you can be interchanged. He's trying to I'm just trying to make sure that you fucking evaluate shit. That's all it is. If you're going to attack one side, you have to think about every variable that goes into that situation.
all of that. That's why I don't straight up jump in and say I'm Black Lives Matter. That's why that I have friends that are still Trump supporters that I worked in the oil field that are literally
That's what I'm
my brothers.
asking.
I understand that. But what we're saying is why are people that are coming from the same organizations that you claim to be a part of or claim to be surrounded with? These people don't say all lives matter to blue lives matter. They only say it. So my thing is, when you look at Black Lives Matter, if you actually educate yourself on it and look at it, you see that they're an umbrella organization for protecting people that are LGBTQ, protecting people that are transsexual, protecting people that are victims of rape culture, protecting people that there's a whole negative thing. Whenever your guys in the locker room, like, oh yeah, that's a sweet pep, that was a nice ass. that stuff like that is the same thing that people are trying to stop because you're victimizing women. When you say, oh, it's because she was what she was wearing, those are the same people that wear those banners that you're wearing. We're not saying that you think like that. I'm not saying that every single police officer is that. Make the same point.
You've got what they're supporting.
But as soon as you got here and realized that we were out here protecting that same thing, I rolled up. I rolled up when I rolled up.
Police
I did not walk up. I walked up to introduce myself.
Police want to be quotas. They stop everybody and everybody. The only difference is that fucking white people can walk away and wrestle
is taking your views.
shot the fucking back.
We're not going to do that. And we're not going to let that happen. And thank you for not doing that.
Not to say that it doesn't happen to white people. Yes, it does.
So if you're defending that, you know that we're defending that, that means we're defending the same thing. So what I would like to do is, if that's the case, and again, I'd like to further introduce myself.
I mean, you said that
There's no one that's going to be out here. So I'll tell you right now. I know that's what I was going to You know what? I don't think you have people in the organization that call you the same thing. They'll sit there and say, we had war heroes. My grandfather came back and literally could not walk out of the front door
it's in turmoil.
of a building fighting in a war because he was a nigger. That's what they refer to him as. My grandmother's birth certificate says Negro. I mean, at the same time, I can't say anything about the camera because in the state of Oklahoma, you can film anybody's voice.
In the state of anywhere, if you're in public.
Right, that's very true. I prefer it not to as well, but he's going to do it. That's why I was wondering.
They feel that, but they're not part of my family or my circle. They're the enemy.
I don't want to make people uncomfortable either. I understand you're on as well. You have to dismantle and
They just want to overthrow the government and make this
Here's my message. I know you're. I understand you're marginalized. I understand that you're you fucking will defend this country.
What whitewash black people. Blacks that aren't black because
there are a lot of people that are pissed off. Okay. Now, if you look at the things, the situations that took here, that took place here in Oklahoma, it was stupid kids that got intermingled in the group and were able to terrorize and stuff like that. That's the reason why we're here. Right. So if you're here with that, then understand that it doesn't matter. I don't care what you believe with your Trump hat. I don't care what our political views differ on. I don't care if you want to stand across the street and say N-word, N-word, N-word. You might get disorderly conduct or whatever, but that's not something that's going to make me go and be aggressive towards you. What will make me be aggressive if you take those ideologies, come over here and try and beat them into me or to my people because that's something that you believe in. The same thing. No, I'm not having a dialogue. But I'm going to recommend our people for what they're doing. You have to understand that. But you have to allow me to get the chance to do that. You know what I mean? I understand. You're not trying to convince me anything, but I want to learn.
I told you what, you guys don't bother me. You have the right to do it.
Right, and so do you.
That's why I'm here. For the second time.
I know for the second time, but I mean, how many times do we have to do it before we're finally at peace with each other?
I was at peace.
No.
I was at peace when I walked up there.
They're not trying to ruin the They're not trying to ruin people's lives.
The same organization that I'm telling you about. Same organization that you say that have same ideologies as me, and the same organization that I said that have ideologies as you. I'm with the downtown movement.
Okay, so that's the first time you said that.
Yeah, it's not. That was the first thing that came up. I said my name is Trevor Webb, and I said I'm with the downtown movement. So what the downtown movement stands for is love. When we say love, is lifting others' voices. Okay, it means that you should have a right to come out and speak and say what you believe. I'm saying people like you, what you believe, whatever your mindset as an American, you have the right to be able to come out here and say what you want to say without someone shutting you up and someone saying no, because this is what I believe. That's what we believe. And honestly, you can tell by your face that you believe that same thing, that everyone has that right to be able to say what they want to say in this country. And you look like a war hero, so I wouldn't imagine that you're.
Well, you're not needed, so nobody's setting things on
I
fire.
understand, but at the same time, you have more self-control.
fucking useless.
I'm very not useless.
You're very useless because you
Why do you feed into it? Why do you feed into it? Something that people have been teaching.
Your imagination is the thing you're fighting right now. You got dressed for this. You got dressed and drove here to fight your imagination.
Adrian Otap?
Yes, sir. How are you, Mr. Webb?
How you doing?
Good to see you.
Nice to meet you too.
How's the family?
My family's they're doing okay. They're doing all right.
It's messed up that they and you were thrown in this situation.
You know, it's happened to many others before me, and
Where did you get the idea?
it's something that's ongoing, and I don't,
Because Portland?
I don't want any problems for anybody. I really wish that we could solve this with peacefully with everyone, on all sides. I just wish that people could come together from all sides of the spectrum and be able to say it and have open dialogue and say, hey, we're the American people at the end of the day. It doesn't matter what my race is or what your race is or whatever the case is.
We're all humans at the end of the day. Humans, that's it. I like to say humans are people, not pie charts. Humans are people and not pie charts. That's all it is. And I don't know if you followed my comments on some of these things, but when everything was happening at the courthouse with that particular resolution regarding free speech, I really wish more people that dress this way would have been there.
Can I ask?
You don't know anything about that because you didn't bother to educate yourself before you showed up.
It's bullshit.
It's bullshit. So the county commission did not take $36 million from the CARES Act and funnel it into the jail trust illegally, right?
Just take 1 second.
Right? That didn't happen?
How you doing?
That didn't happen, right?
Well,
There is a
definitely fucking
by the courthouse to tell protesters
It was 47 seconds. But in 47 seconds, the county commissioner illegally took the full amount from the CARES Act that was for the entire county.
they're establishing free speech zones, designated reservations, if you will, for free speech to take place on county property in order to basically prevent these people from expressing their opinions. But it would have affected anyone.
Why are you more?
That there's any fucking corruption in Oklahoma County. Oklahoma County has the highest.
Can see when someone else is getting a rise out of it.
I was pointing to him.
Literally, I didn't hear him understand that and see, hey, you have the ability. You're not a
He just did. He said, "Why are you out here?" I said,
You have a
"I'm
brain.
here because of the
That means that you can sit there and see that someone is trying to make something out of nothing, or something that's trying to.
I didn't say there isn't any.
You did too.
You're feeding into it.
Dumbass.
You're feeding into it just like you would say that our people are animalistic for feeding into something that your people are doing. The taunts, the N-words. Hey, you know what? Why is that, if that's the case, if that's something that you believe, then why are you focused on her?
I wasn't talking to either. This fucking guy is the one who's fucking acting retarded.
In his defense, she's way more focused on him than
Well,
he
you
is
haven't
on
answered
her.
a single one
No
of
one
them.
actually.
And I understand that, so why don't you
Could you have a conversation?
Honestly,
Could you have a
I
conversation?
didn't want to. That's what you guys wanted to do.
Everyone who was having a
So you didn't
conversation.
care about the First Amendment?
I didn't say I didn't care about it.
Let
I
me
said I
say
didn't
this
care
what
to
she's
do that.
saying. So she's actually correct.
Why wouldn't you?
The reason why is on that day where she's talking about what the corrupt politicians with David Holt and the commissioners, what they wanted to do is destroy the First Amendment. After they also wanted to destroy the First Amendment, when she started talking about prisons for profit, and which not just David Holt has a financial investment, but that piece of garbage, David Prater, also has financial investments in prison for profits. I want the American people, both Republicans and Democrats, in this great state of America.
if you're a politician and you own stock in a private prison corporation, you ought to be strung up the fucking yard.
And to those out there, and let me say this.
You're a slave
And let me
trader.
say this: David Prater should be investigated. But let me add this.
That open dialogue has happened.
But let me add this.
That open dialogue has been happening this whole time. You
The
can't
Clintons
say
own 13% of
that people are
CCA.
capable of having an open
They should be
dialogue
investigated.
when you guys walked up and insulted us.
David,
You walked up and
hold on.
insulted us.
I
didn't insult you. I don't care what you did because he is the one I was talking to in the first place. He walked up making accusations.
So David,
Yes, he did.
hold on.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
So David Prater.
This is why you can't have open dialogue.
David Prater. David
I was
Prater.
here. I saw what he did.
So David.
And I was here too.
David,
and I heard him literally say that he was here to protect things from being burnt down by the people who don't want to burn
hold on.
anything down.
Let's do this. I've been here.
Did he accuse you
Honestly, you have a track record.
He accused the group of it because he is here to stop us. He said, y'all.
He did not
from
say
burning.
y'all.
He did say
He said,
y'all.
I'm here to stop people from burning shit down. He didn't accuse you.
And then he
didn't
said,
accuse-
the only reason it's not
No, it
burnt
doesn't
down,
matter.
the
It
only
doesn't
reason
matter.
y'all haven't burnt it down is
It
because
doesn't
we're
matter. I'm
here.
going to listen to him.
Let me.
Of course you're going to listen to him because he's a man and he votes for Trump, right? So he gets more opinion than me.
I'm agreeing with you on certain things. So you can't say that. So let me add this.
If you're accusing me, my
Right
wife.
the fuck out.
Let me
I don't give a fuck if you have a wife, bro.
let me add.
I have a boyfriend.
Hold on.
I'm still feminist.
Let me add this. Why I agree with the young lady. Let me ask you.
You
Let me
have
say.
no idea anything the fuck about me, which is the goddamn
Exactly.
fucking
You
thing
don't
I'm
know anything
angry
about me either.
Because y'all walked up here
I didn't
and
walk
we were
up
trying to
and do
fucking
anything.
burn shit.
I didn't walk up here.
Let's calm down now. Let's calm down.
You better get her out of my. She's
I'm
trying to
your
talk to this
fucking
guy.
face. You're the one who's dead.
Shut up.
You want to step?
Shut
Go
up.
ahead. Move.
Shut up.
Let him step.
Hold on. Let's get it. Look, David Prater, at the end of the day, David Prater has financial investments through prisons for profit. She is right. The CARES Act 6666, the money that was coming here, was allocated to over there. Our brother, Tim Harper. Hold on. Our brother, Tim Harper.
You're here for that.
Hold
not
on.
to burn shit.
Hold on.
Educate yourself.
Hold on.
Show up.
Hold on.
Good for you.
Hold on. Let's.
I guarantee you have
hold
more
on.
education than you do.
I guarantee
Hold
you
on.
motherfucking don't.
We're here for our brother Tim Harper, all right?
Okay.
So, and everybody else. Tim Harper, the same district attorney that's going after them is going after our brother Tim Harper, all right? So this is not about color, about race or gender. What this happens is we have to understand as God-loving Americans that what's happening behind those buildings and happening in City Hall is to destroy us and how we pin against each other. Tim Harper is an innocent man and should not be facing any of these stupid crimes.
Well,
and who was benefiting from this?
Technically.
No, but we all know what's happening. But let me say this. At the end of the day, these bar attorneys that are behind this building, that freaking building, that building in City Hall, that's what they want. The bar attorneys don't care. The politicians, the judges, the lawyers, the lobbyists, they don't give a rat's ass about us. You know what they do want? They want us to continue fighting.
Yeah,
they don't want us to talk.
And they want to.
We are here.
They
Right.
want to get more power and
More money. And pass more unconstitutional bills for the prison for profit, what David Prater and Holt has, because it's all about money, and money does not discriminate and never discriminate.
You mean Mayor Holt needs to do something to supplement his $24,000 a year salary as mayor?
all these criminals, all these government criminals.
I'm just wondering because he makes $24,000 as mayor, but Kevin Calvi as a county commissioner makes about $130,000.
Oh, you mean the one that gets pockets from the lobbyists to pass unconstitutional laws?
Well, not anymore. He doesn't work in this building anymore.
No, well, he still has to vote and getting money for his campaign contributions, right?
Oh, yeah.
So when he wants to run, so either bribery or a campaign contribution. It's one or the other, brother. So let me.
Okay, Hulk Hogan.
So let me.
What you gonna do, brother?
So at the end of the day, David Prater doesn't care. All he cares is about putting people in jail. No, remember, no victim, no crime. If there's no victim, there's no crime. Why should anybody, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Native American, should be going to jail? No victim, no crime. You know why? Because it's all about the money. That's why we have private for prisons. And they know what I'm talking about. How come they're not being investigated? How come no one's doing an open investigation and putting these criminals with suits and ties that are in bed with the American Bar Association and with George Soros put $10 million at the Oklahoma Bar Association? How come none of those are being investigated? And how come any of them are not going to jail for not just corruption, but also treason upon the American people or the people of the great state of Oklahoma? That's what needs to happen. Both Republican, Democrats, and everybody from together need to come together and hold all these criminals and these buildings accountable. And until we come together as God-loving Americans,
take a breath.
it won't happen. And they want us, and they benefit from this. And Channel 9 News, like I always said, Channel 5 News, and all the other news stations, that's what they want. Because I'll guarantee you, they won't come here.
They want ratings. They want ratings, and this isn't ratings.
This is, the emotions and tensions are always going to be high. But at the end of the day, that's what they drive off. That's what the media wants. And they enjoy it, and they relish every second as long as we're fighting amongst each other. Because that's keeping us distracted on what these criminals are doing behind those walls. And I challenge every Oklahoma, every Okie, the great state of Oklahoma. When you walk into these buildings, ask yourself, how come there's not a copy of the Declaration of Independence? How come there is not a copy of the Constitution in this building? How come you're not allowed to see the original Constitution that it's over there, about 4 blocks over there, upstairs in the 3rd floor in the library, collecting dust? Why don't they bring that down and show the American people and educate the American people here in the great state of Oklahoma, the Constitution and their constitutional rights? Because right now, none of us would be here if they actually start teaching what they're supposed to teach, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and the Bill of Rights, and start holding these criminals that are violating the Emolument Clause, accountable. They don't want this. They don't want the education. You know why? Because it doesn't fit their narrative. And as long as they don't fit their narrative, this is what we have. But you know the beauty about it? Coming today, even though tensions are high and we might disagree on a lot of things, but you know, we still able to have this dialogue. You ain't gonna see this on Channel 9 or on Channel 5, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, no, if they did show up, you would be lucky to get a 3-second soundbite of whatever the most provocative thing was that they could find from the evening. Otherwise, maybe you get a wide shot of the crowd, or they'd be over there. It's like, oh, okay, well, let's do some stock footage of the parking lot itself, and we'll write up something. But they're not going to actually come out here and talk to anybody or interview anybody.
Let me say this to my brothers and sisters, the AK2A.
Okay.
Those that OK2A
or AK, like AK-47, AK2A,
OK2A,
mixing it up.
OK2A organization. I used to stand up until they threw our brother Tim Harper under the bus. No. OK2A, Don Spencer knows what I'm talking about. At the end of the day, why are we, the American people, God-loving Americans, with a Second Amendment, why would you allow a brother like Tim Harper be thrown under the bus? You know what? At the end of the day, he's in bed with the corrupt politicians, including Governor Stitt. He doesn't care about the members of OK2A.
Hashtag lobbyist.
Hashtag lobbyist. That's right.
Hashtag
violating
super PAC.
the Emolument Clause. Don Spencer, you know PAC. Me, and I'm coming after you, and I'm going to ask you how you violated an Emolument Clause for Governor Stitt. And Governor Stitt, shame on you for getting it, because you're no different than Bill Clinton. You're no different than Barack Hussein Obama. The treasonous criminal that belongs in jail. Okay. And you should join him, just like the treasonous Governor Ron DeSantis from Florida. So let me tell you, the Governor Stitt and Dan Spencer, you guys should be behind bars on the Emolument Clause, and y'all should be investigated for the Emolument Clause. You want to go ahead and throw our brother Tim Harper under the bus? Well, how about throwing you guys under the bus? Because you know what? If it's good for Tim Harper, it should be well damn good for you. And erasing certain emails and things on Facebook, shame on you guys. Because at the end of the day, the truth will always prevail. And you can have your pandy-ass district attorney, David Prater, to try to cover up the bullshit. But at the end of the day, Lazarus and I was here, and I will see Dave Prater in the county office. The courts, you know those courts belong to the people, brother. Those are the people's court, just like this house right here. This is the people's house.
You tell them, Judge Wapner. It's the people's court. You tell them, Wapner.
No, it's our court, the people, because we funded it. But let me say this one more thing. I'm here for both sides, because both sides bring great points. Yeah. And you know what? We are Americans. And when as God-loving Americans, we should stand as Americans. And we should start learning from each other. Wrong, right, or indifferent. We are Americans, and we need to come together. This right here, this is maybe a start. Maybe a start. I can't guarantee nothing. But I can tell you this much. Channel 9 and Channel 5 ain't loving it, nor the corrupt politicians behind these walls. So I want to say thank you, and I apologize, because you know what? I'm very
passionate. You're fired up.
You know, Trevon, another amazing guy. Shouldn't be, but you know what? Trevor. What do you call David Prater? He doesn't care, because he has money for Prisons for Profit. David Prater and his wife, and talk about it, epic. Let's make it so epic. How his wife has financial gains through the Epic charter schools, but they're not talking about that. He should be also investigated in regards to his wife working for the Epic charter schools and the donations.
You should hang out with soon-to-be former Senator Ron Sharp on this Epic charter school thing.
So this is what we have. So we have a lot of corruption, and nobody's holding all these bureaucrats accountable, from emolument violations to corruption to bribery and extortion. But they want to go ahead and throw our brother Tim Harper and the gentleman that's here under the bus. They want this racial division.
And it's not just Trevor, that young lady.
That young lady? That's right. That young lady?
She has the highest bond of all of them.
That's true. And Prater doesn't care.
$400,000.
His bar attorneys don't care. They don't care because it's all about money. You know how these bar associations make money? Because when they put somebody in jail, their 401k stock value goes up. And if you don't believe me, right now, the judges here in the state of Oklahoma, district judge, Supreme Court justices, appointed judges, special judges, they get 22% in their 401k. You do not believe me? Go look at the budget 2019 all the way through 2025. 22% is what they're getting. How many God-loving Americans from either side, or Native American, or white, or Asian,
or just plain American,
gets 22% in their 401k?
Because that's the point of America, to produce Americans.
That's right. None of them.
Just the way Teddy Roosevelt intended.
And by the way, look at how much your taxpayers are paying directors from the Department of Human Services to the prison for profits to the education and all that. Why do you think if you're paying so much, over $100,000, why do we have an educational system the way we have it? Because the politicians know about it. But remember, we got to take the Constitution away, because we got to dumb down the people of Oklahoma. Because God forbid the people of Oklahoma come together and start getting educated and start learning what their constitutional rights are. But these bar attorneys that are paid by George Soros over there, $10 million, were invested for a thing called prison for profits, forced vaccinations, Common Core, keeping the kids oppressed, stupid, dumbed down. Don't let you use a noodle.
Here's a comment that just came in for you. It says, OK2A, Don illegally gave Stitt a thank you gift of a shockwave, which is a form of a shotgun, for signing the so-called constitutional carry bill.
You can be here. I like it. You part of it? Yeah. That's called an emolument violation. Emolument violation. Do not trust me? Thank you, ma'am. Go to Article 15 of your Constitution and look what it says about emoluments. Matter of fact, you don't want to go into your federal Constitution and look at the word emolument clause. But don't worry about Don Spencer. You want to throw Tim Harper under the bus? Well, Lazarus and I was going to throw your ass under the bus and stick. Because you guys should be investigated for emolument violation. And if you don't comprende what emolument violation is, then I strongly you comprende to go talk to your DA, the treasonous district attorney, or the attorney general in behind these walls, and have him explain what emolument violations is. Oh, by the way, the $10 million that George Soros invested over there at the Oklahoma Bar Association, why don't you ask one of them if that doesn't work for you?
Why do you think people are doing this?
All right, let's go over there.
Yeah, go over there. So I apologize, but the truth has to be known.
Adrian,
yeah.
I understand. I really appreciate what you're doing, man. Do you have any issue with us having a personal conversation without the camera? You can be here for the conversation. My thing is, like, I keep getting blinded. It's hard to kind of concentrate with the light. Even if you took the flash off, that might help.
So,
I mean, I can always do this too.
Real quick, I'll wrap it.
I'm okay with the. I'm just kidding. Like I said, you have a right to film. I'm not saying anything that would hold me bad or anything like that.
We'll give Adrian a little content here real quick, then we'll wrap this up. Fair enough for you? So, guys, like I said, everybody could have been different in that situation, right? Now,
would you mind turning just for flash?
If we all find
I'm not saying you can't film. I can't tell you can't do anything.
That's
Just the flash.
Real change.
Yes.
No matter what change you want, police reform, economic reform,
so we already
whatever the hell change you want, when we all get together, guys, and stop screaming and yelling at each other, that's when things are going to happen.
Okay. So what we have to do is we have to open up that dialogue.
How do we open up that dialogue?
What we do to open up that dialogue, we have people that don't understand on both sides, right? Okay.
We do.
So no, we do. We have people that. Oh, so you're agreeing with that, right?
Everybody's a reactionary.
So not everyone.
I mean, people
inherently, people are reactionary.
I have been probably.
No, he's right. It's like an inherent human thing.
Right.
Like a Newton's third law
I
of physics.
have been probably one of the most open dialogue person, the most peaceful person that
I mean, if I come to you with your political beliefs suck, or why don't you explain your political beliefs to me?
Okay.
Then you're going to be inherently less standoffish.
Right.
That's how we need to address.
So let's say
everybody.
this. So that's what I'm saying. Opening up that dialogue for me to be able to say, okay, hey, I get this enough time to be able to express my opinion on this matter, and then you also get that same amount of time to express your opinion on that matter, and we can find common ground.
We can find common ground.
Common ground. Wouldn't that be?
We can always crack open a beer.
Holy shit! Common ground is
there.
America.
You go.
So my thing is
Beer summit.
So here's beyond that.
No.
In order to call yourself an American, you have to be out here standing.
No beer summit.
Man,
We don't find common ground and compromise with people on human rights. Period. End of discussion. If your common ground is that I should find something to have in common with you, but you think that gay people or black people or motherfucking handicapped people or Jewish, I don't give a fuck. You think some type of people have less rights or have less rights to be treated as human than other people, then I don't give a flying fuck to find a common ground with you.
I can see that point of view.
We're not saying that you
Fuck
feel
that
way.
bitch ass common ground. I'm not saying that about you.
In
Yeah.
general,
I can see that. I can.
I am flat out point blank not going to compromise nor find common ground
not
on
liking
someone who's
milk
like,
in your coffee.
you know what?
is
Gay
something you
people
can
don't
disagree
deserve
on.
to get married. Well, you can go fuck yourself, and I'm not going to have an open dialogue conversation about it.
I don't give
Not
a shit
you.
who's sucking your dick as long as you're getting your dick
No,
sucked. I'm
yeah, we already had the
happy for you.
conversation.
Okay.
Okay, so we think that the equal protection of the law and the 14th Amendment is a good thing. Let's say that.
So what we're saying is you have a right
Are smart, like,
as long-
all people have the same.
I'm not smart.
sense
I'm
as
old
you.
stupid ass redneck
No,
boy.
I'm saying smart enough to like
I'm just
not
open-minded.
hate people for fine. Call yourself dumb then. Anyway, is what I'm trying to say is that you get it to an extent, but there are some people in this fucking country and in the world that would never consider that, and that is why people have tried peacefully protesting. When Kaepernick fucking took that fucking knee, how many fucking people burned jerseys and burned
Literally
socks
willing
and
to
burned
bet that
this?
guy at the top.
That was
a peaceful protest.
That was a peaceful protest.
So let me ask you
and
this:
nobody
back
wanted to have
back
a
when you
conversation.
look back in the '60s and back to the time when there was Jim Crow still enacted, how many people were able to sit in peace and not be slapped in the streets with a handgun, not be thrown in jail for just standing up for the right to say I am, that I can walk out the same front door that you can walk in? Why is the fact that my grandmothers and my mothers, for the fact that their birth certificate, regardless of what background they come from, still says Negro? Why is that right?
Box
So when I
fucking-
say,
that's
so
just-
you have to understand where we're
That's
coming
just a
from.
shit fucking Dylan.
You understand? Do you understand the ideology? Hold on. Do you understand the ideology behind the
You know where his
swastika? Hold on.
ancestors are listed?
Do you understand? I'm getting to that. Do you understand the ideology behind the swastika?
I mean, are you talking about from like the 1930s
Okay, so
version
when you
or
look
the?
at-
Or the
in general,
or the
in general,
5,000 years
in
ago
general,
in Hinduism
in general,
version.
In general, when you take the swastika, right now, would you fly the swastika sign high up in the air on a flag? No. Why?
Even though you know it's a Native American
because
piece.
of the
Because I'm not a Christian.
No, not what?
The swastika is a Christian symbol.
No, it's
No,
not.
it's a Buddhist.
Yes, it is.
It's tilted
Hinduism.
Buddhist symbol.
Brother.
Is it Hinduism?
Brother, this is one thing. I understand what you just said, but one thing is, if you're going to be out here fighting for anything, what I need you to do, and I can need
Either
you to
way,
do, is please get
ancient
educated on what is actually happening. Okay?
religious
So this
symbol
is what we're saying. This is what
Why was it on the coconut at my wedding?
you have to be. If you're out here in general, if you're out here in general,
I'm just saying.
no.
Had to look at that thing for 3 days.
If you're not fighting,
I don't have to fight for me.
we're not saying that you're out here fighting for anyone. If that's the case, if you're not fighting for anything, what are you even out here for?
He came
not
out
here
here
to
to
learn.
learn.
So if you're out here to learn, then that's exactly what we're trying
When
to
it's
do.
time for me
So-
to fight, you'll know.
So swastika. Going back to that, okay?
Let's
It
ride
was
this out.
originally a peace symbol, right?
Yeah, it was.
Swastika was originally a peace symbol. Who turned it into the hate symbol that we know today? Nazi Germany.
We're gonna walk away.
Dude, I'd probably say like Richard the Lionheart first.
No, it was definitely Hillary dipped in hate.
Germany.
Totally, yeah.
Okay?
Well, but it's still really cool looking, and why let him ruin it for all time?
Right? We could say that, right? But at the same time, that's not accurate. We know what it stands for. We know that
It actively hurts people.
the same reason that you're not going to take 4 or 5 plastic banners and put them on your arm and hang them from your car because it means a peace symbol to you. You know that it's been corrupted. That's how we feel when we say all lives.
If I'm truly using it in a way that is related to Hinduism,
Right.
I'm doing it that way, and I don't care what anybody else
I
thinks.
understand that. Okay.
let them be offended or not or whatever.
Even your own people would be upset with you for carrying a swastika symbol, right? We're not saying whether it be right or wrong. No, regardless of what you actually had your interpretation of that symbol, the people that follow you or understand where you're coming from. If you said, "Hey, I shouldn't have to explain anything because I know what this."
Well, if we're talking about actual practitioners of Hinduism and South Asians, they don't care.
No, not them. I'm talking about Americans.
Americans. Okay.
Would you be able to fly that in America and be okay with not having your vehicle harmed when you go inside Walmart, going in and ordering pizza? Well, in general, still.
Well, in general, it shouldn't be an issue because we should absolutely have free speech, and we should stand up for that.
Right, regardless of what your free speech is.
Absolutely.
I completely agree with that. But what I'm saying is that symbol has been taken and made hate. So now, if I don't swing...
Well, right, because there's been a great marketing campaign associated with it.
If I swing the American flag up, no one's going to have a problem with that. If I swing this flag up, many people will say that I'm unpatriotic because I support a black flag as well.
No. Or the Pan-African flag.
This is the African-American flag.
The African-American.
African-American flag. You have to remember that African-Americans didn't necessarily want to be here. Okay? People will say, well, if you don't like this country, why don't you go back where you come from?
Well, then it's like, well, I don't know where I came from because Africa's a continent and my forefathers were kidnapped and enslaved and shipped over, and the knowledge of that origin has been lost and stripped and not allowed to propagate. And so it's like, okay. And that's what, for me, that's where Americanism comes into play. Everyone's a first generation American to me. This is where it starts and where it ends.
We kind of got away from the swastika symbol. That's something that right now, would you carry that?
I myself personally would not.
You would not. Why?
I don't want to.
You recognize it as a symbol of hate, or?
Well, I mean, if we're talking about like a German flag circa 1930s, early 1940s, that's not something I support.
Would you slap a swastika on your blue shirt?
Possibly.
Yeah, he had one of his ways.
It's just cool. What if all of a sudden the swastika started standing for Save Our Children?
Yeah, it's all in what you use it for. It's all in how you use it and how you pronounce it.
So you just contradicted that because let me explain this. The reason we don't say all lives matter is because that has been dismemed. I can't say it. Honestly, we all here can sit there and agree.
Personally, I'm under the influence that no lives matter.
Let me finish.
Well, there's definitely some that don't.
I mean, everybody fits in a wood chipper.
Some don't matter.
Some don't.
I don't mean you're talking about people that don't respect human rights. I don't really care much for their rights. I'm not worried about their lives. Pedophiles. Nope, I'm not a fan.
Can we just find some common ground again?
Kill them.
There you go. Found some common ground.
We don't. And no one here condones children being locked in cages, right? Do you agree with children being locked in cages? Any kid, 5, 6.
Well, see.
Here comes the racism.
No, hold on. Explain why, though. Explain why you agree with children being able to be locked in cages.
Well, as opposed to cells or detention.
Right.
It's all about the word usage.
Nationalism.
It's all about the euphemisms involved.
Right.
I'm not an American nationalist at all.
Go ahead and tell us why children should be in cages.
He didn't say that he was for it, did he?
And we're talking about ones that did not break laws personally.
Right.
Now,
I'm not talking
that's
about
a
their
loaded as
families.
fuck
I'm not
question.
saying
Now, why should somebody be put in some sort of isolation or detention cell? Typically, it's going to be for your own safety. I'm assuming you're mentioning.
We're talking about illegal immigration. Let's just skip to the end on this.
Illegal immigration.
For what it is, and the topic that we're speaking on is immigration, and why these children that are not American.
I've never been put in a detention center for my own safety.
My dad is
Never
from Cuba. My grandma is from Cuba. My grandma has been here since the 70s, and when all this shit started happening, ICE and all that shit, she's been here since the fucking 70s. She got a knock on her door from ICE, and they threatened her all the way in Detroit, fucking Michigan.
And she's been here for how long?
Since 71.
From Cuba.
Yes. She got a Canadian citizenship, and then she came to America. It was during the Juan Pedro act when Batista was falling and Castro was coming up, when everybody thought Castro was a good guy, and then he became a dictator.
That's
and
like,
then, I mean, that
the really early 50s.
It did start out all right.
So my grandma left when she was 21. Yeah. Does it not make sense to you? Like, so...
Would you have just stayed in a country where Castro was in charge?
Like, that's why, like,
Weird thing
those
to say,
children, their parents moved them here. Like, people think, like, if that was happening here in America, wouldn't you want to go somewhere else? Wouldn't you want to be safe? And you know what? And don't talk about immigration papers and this and that, because they're...
Well, but then we're getting back to the rule of law and equality before the law. And
I can beat this conversation easy
without
actually
I'm
having
okay
to
with
ask you
immigration.
to be empathetic, because you actually clearly lack that in this subject.
The last thing on this fucking planet, lady, I lack is
on
empathy.
this subject.
Can I restart for just 0.2
yes,
seconds?
please.
You sounded like you were in favor of children in cages, and I apologize if I came at you hot about it.
No,
But do you support it or not? So I apologize.
Once again, now, you're going to have these children from this family, and they're going to be isolated in this cage, or this cell, this area, this familial unit.
There is fostering as an option until processing can take place.
This is genocide.
It's a dog. It's a dog kennel.
You've been there.
It's actually genocide, because when you take children from genocide is not just the murder of one people. Yes, that is also a genocide. If we go out there and we kill 1 million Native Americans, that's a Native American genocide for sure.
We're not really killing them because of something there's a gene for.
But you know, you have.
But that is not the only thing that genocide means. Genocide also means when we take the children from that culture, take 1 million children away from their parents and their culture, and then we put them with families in a different culture, and we raise them in our culture instead. That is also considered genocide.
I don't see why they're...
That is also the definition of genocide.
Well, I'd go with ethnic cleansing. Because, you know, again, we're not doing this because of something that there's a gene for.
Whatever. I don't care.
Words mean things.
It's still a genocide or an ethnic cleansing or whatever. It's the textbook definition of genocide. It is in the textbook definition of genocide that includes not just killing a certain people, but taking their children.
Safe to assume you support the Indian Child Welfare Act.
If you tell me what it is, I probably do.
Basically,
but I can't know everything.
Okay. Basically, it's the federal law. It states that if Native American children or children, if they're determined to have any Native American ancestry,
the thing where the Native Americans are in charge of their adoption before anyone else.
Right.
Yeah.
Basically, we treat them like the way China treats pandas.
Like they're an endangered species.
Well, like China literally owns all the pandas in the world.
It's hard.
Okay.
It's hard. It takes 13 years. I'm sorry, they can process taxes. They can process prisoners.
He's wandering around, being creepy.
I'm trying to get my leg from going cramped.
It shouldn't take long.
I feel really hostile right now.
I've
Not like in a violent way, but just like in a voice sort of way.
No.
Are you going to make me feel more hostile?
No.
Okay, thank you.
That's cool.
To be sure.
All right.
Because I'm trying to not keep screaming at people.
Well, cool.
Less screaming is good. I like that.
So, anyways, what I was actually saying was we're taking their children away and then putting them into
So do you think
right?
that we should have a similar law for any other ethnicity or any other racial group?
Are you on a side tangent?
Well, because you said that this was genocide to take these children away.
Did you know that if I finished my sentence, you would know what I was talking about?
Well, let's
That would
have
be
at
cool,
it.
right? But you want to keep interrupting me with your fucking side tangent.
Oh, okay. Have at it.
So, anyways, taking those children away, like you said, oh, well, we could put them into foster situations instead. That's what you said, right? I didn't hear that fucked up. You said something about fostering being an option.
Yes, temporary foster care.
Okay.
While they're going through the process, instead of rotting in jail, basically waiting for their day at immigration court, where you'll have a 3-year-old waiting for an immigration attorney, which is absurd.
No, I fully agree with you on that one. That being said, what happens whenever, like, do you really know about the foster care system? Like, how many children come up missing from foster care? How often parents are not even allowed to go to court and fight for things before their children are just taken from them, and they were supposed to, and they're just gone, and there's nothing you can do to fight it anymore because the court wanted to skip a step. You know how often that happens?
Yes, and again, that is another side issue.
So, then here we go.
But would it not be an improvement over cages, as we put it?
Actually, this is what would be an improvement.
Okay.
Ready for it?
Ready for it. I'm braced.
Do you know what the charge is for illegally entering this country?
Tell us,
It's
please.
a misdemeanor.
Yes.
It's a misdemeanor. Do we lock people in jail cells and take their children away for misdemeanors?
I'm going to go with yes, because I've seen it done many times.
Was it supposed to happen like that, though? Was there some court fuckery going on? Or was it supposed to go down like that? Because it's not supposed to go down like that. They might go to jail for the day, but we don't take their fucking children away
Right.
from
They
them
don't
for
take they don't take the children away. They don't lose custody, but they are separated because they are incarcerated for a day or however long, bail
so
and
these
whatnot.
Immigrants are not even they're not given the chance to bail out. They can't just pay their bail and go. So now we're holding people indefinitely on a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
We are taking their children indefinitely on a misdemeanor, which we would never do to a citizen.
And I think you're hitting the nail on the head. They're doing it. It would be inconceivable to do it to a citizen, which is why they're doing it to these people, because they are not citizens.
But it is inconceivable regardless, because we are arbitrarily enforcing our own laws to a different extent.
How so?
Because I cannot say that it is reasonable for any random human, whether they're a citizen or not, they've committed a misdemeanor, but this one's not a citizen, so I'm going to hold them indefinitely. I'm going to remove their children from them indefinitely.
Well,
I'm going to
I
give
think
someone
it's
else
ridiculous.
the ability to adopt these children into their home.
Well, no, not adopt, just temporary custody.
But people have been adopting those children. That has been happening. They are losing their custody permanently, and those children are getting adopted. It doesn't matter what they say they're supposedly doing. That's not what they're really doing. And it might be on some, but you know as well as I do that the system is corrupt.
Well, there would have to be some corruption there, because these children are still technically in the country illegally. So there are a lot of legal hurdles to adopting in that case.
So anyways, I don't think that we should charge this person who has a misdemeanor and gets put in jail and gets to bail out the next day because it was a misdemeanor. But this person, also in my country, also violating my country's laws, is now being held fucking indefinitely on a crime of the exact same caliber.
Well, there are different misdemeanors do have different penalties.
Same caliber.
No, as in, generally speaking, not a felony is where you're going with that.
It's a misdemeanor. All the other misdemeanors get to just bail out, have their court date, probably get some probation, or maybe like 30 days in jail. But the misdemeanors don't get their children taken permanently away from them. The misdemeanors don't get held indefinitely with no court date even set.
Yeah. So we should do something to speed up the process to get court dates faster.
These are illegal. No. You shouldn't be putting them in cages. If you really have a problem with it, deport them.
Well, there you go. But they have to go through the process.
No. You get 3 days to deport them. I'm tired of it. Stop holding people indefinitely.
Okay, so
you cannot hold
deport
people
them swiftly.
Indefinitely. You cannot hold people indefinitely. If you want to deport them until their paperwork comes through, by all means, go ham. I don't care. But what I do care about is that you're saying that this person guilty of this misdemeanor in this country is not held to this unreasonable standard of punishment because they were born here and this person wasn't, so we get to hold them indefinitely.
Yeah, I'm actually in favor of repealing the first sentence of the 14th Amendment entirely.
I don't know what the 14th Amendment.
The first sentence is the citizenship clause, just solely citizenship. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and under the jurisdiction thereof are citizens. I think we should just get rid of that entirely. It's an anachronism at this point, and it has served its initial original purpose, and we should do away with it. And we should make either the naturalization process or federal service prerequisite for citizenship instead. We can still have legal residence, just citizenship will be something that must be achieved.
Okay, but I don't care about that at all. Not even remotely. Like, it's probably a good thing to care about. Yeah. Like, I can only care about so many things.
I understand. You certainly have a lot of things on your mind. You've got things going on.
How to fix every single situation. Like, to be honest, the kids in cages pisses me off, and I can tell you this about it, and I can tell you why I'm against it when somebody says, hey, do you believe in this? I can tell you why I don't believe in it. I can't tell you how to fix it because that's not my battle. It's a good battle. I approve of that battle. I hope somebody's out there fighting that battle, but I'm on this one.
Well, it's definitely one of those issues where you should ask yourself, what if that was my kid? What if that was your kid?
Well, and that's my other thing about it. If it was me and my kid, then I'm in motherfucking, I don't even know.
Yeah,
what is on fire right now? Bolivia? Where are all the immigrants coming from? It's not Mexico, by the way. It's like
it's all over the place.
Yeah, but there's one specific country that's in crisis right now that's hardcore trying to immigrate out.
Well, and I'm also lumping in. We have visa overstays, and you know about the thing recently with the international students. They were going to lose
because of the coronavirus.
Right, because of the coronavirus, because they weren't able to maintain their student status and have.
But they couldn't go home either.
Right, they couldn't go home. But some of them, their countries were on lockdown. They weren't even letting people come back in.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But you're gonna.
And so, because their university was going to complete online classes, they couldn't maintain their in-person residency requirements for their visa requirements.
Go to school. No, you don't, because you can do it on the computer.
Yeah.
That person should not have lost their visa.
Absolutely. It's one of those unintended consequences, and people need to be, cognizant of these things. And, we shouldn't let things like that slip through the cracks because of basically poor proofreading.
And I also just, in general, believe that, think about the people of Syria, all right? Think about Aleppo specifically. Has been bombed to shit and back, right?
Yeah, we by the way, I think we absolutely should not be doing anything in Syria. Completely illegal 100%. For us to be there. It's shameful and disgusting.
But even if I'm just putting aside the politics, right? If I just look at Aleppo and the state that Aleppo is in, and I just walked through that city, it's completely fucking bombed out, right?
Yeah.
It's a shell.
No, it's devastated.
And you see, there's nowhere to live. There's nowhere to work. There's no way to get food. Unless it's from the Red Cross or whatever, right? So now Turkey is experiencing an immigration crisis, and there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people in refugee camps, and we all know that refugee camps are fucking shitholes that are humanitarian disasters, right?
Yeah.
So
and on every level.
Right. But people are walking with their children. They are walking.
Yeah, carrying them
across
entire countries
to get out.
Yeah,
and they're being met with racism and prejudice and, well, you're here illegally, go back to your own country. My country is on fucking fire. No. And my children are starving, and their home has collapsed from a bomb, and their city is being bombed, and I don't know if the next bomb is going to land on my child's fucking head. No. But you want me to care that they came here illegally. I don't care. I don't care that they're here illegally. I care that they're not getting bombed. Anne Frank was turned away at the border. She made it here. Maybe it wasn't Anne Frank, but I'm pretty sure it was. One of them. Anyways, don't quote me on the Anne Frank thing.
Okay.
But it was.
We're gonna Wikipedia that later.
Yeah.
Google
but
it.
There was 100% for sure a boat of Jewish refugees that came, and it made it to New York. Mm-hmm. And it was turned away.
Well, President FDR was not a fan.
Whatever. I don't care who was in charge. It was wrong.
Yeah.
Because you turned it away. And they turned back.
Yeah.
Whichever specific person it is that I'm talking about went back, tried to hide, got found by Nazis, and died in a fucking prison camp. I don't give a fuck that they came here illegally. They were running from a genocide. They were running for their lives. You're telling me that in America I have the right to fucking shoot you in the head if you threaten my life, but I don't have the right to run for it? I don't have the right to hide?
They're saying hide over there on the other side of the imaginary line.
My life is worth so much that I can kill you to defend me. But their life is worth nothing. They can't run. They're just trying to avoid the bombs. Obviously I'm not.
But their bombs are over there in an area that the United States does not exercise sovereignty over. That's not America's problem.
I understand.
Even though, if in the case of Syria, America is sticking its nose in other people's business and creating these very same problems that feeds it.
So we should be the ones taking in every single Syrian refugee since we destroyed their home.
Yes. Because for some reason we think that a man who's actually a harmless eye doctor is the next Hitler.
Now, when you turn around and you're looking at the South American problem, okay, you might not be looking at America bombing that specific country and region, but look at what America has done to a lot of the countries that are in fucking crisis, like Haiti.
Yeah, economic warfare, basically.
Yes, exactly. Okay.
If you haven't read it, book Confessions of an Economic Hitman.
Okay.
It'll eye-opening.
But you see what I'm saying, though, like economic warfare against them, right?
Yeah.
So, but then we economically crash and wreck and destroy their country, and then when they run, because everything's on fire, like, not literal fire, but
in some cases it is.
It's on fire, right? Whether it's metaphorically or whether it's been taken over by the fucking cartels and the fucking army came in and escalated. They're running for their lives. And when you turned away that boat in the 1940s, all those Jews who were on that boat who made it here and then they turned around and died in concentration camps, that blood is on our hands. We could have saved them. We could have done it because it was the right thing to fucking do.
But they weren't our citizens. They weren't our people. That's the exclamation they always give, right?
Well, if we're going to have that attitude, I'm going to need us to have that attitude about everything. I'm going to need us to step the fuck out of Israel. That's not my country. Those are not my people, and I don't want them to have my money.
Well, my solution is just to add a lot more stars to the flag. Manifest destiny never stopped. It just slowed down. Planet America. Our Constitution has a framework to allow for that.
No, we're not going to keep colonizing things that historically ends in Congo.
I don't know. Amish people, they're doing all right for themselves under the American system.
Have you ever read about the Congo?
It's on fire.
No. King Leopold is the worst human in all of human history. And when he went in and colonized the fucking Congo, people who didn't produce enough rubber in their day, he would chop off their children's hands. Or their children's feet. But you want to colonize the whole world. I
didn't say colonize. I said allow them to petition for statehood. Add stars to the flag.
It sounds like colonizing to me.
Sounds like having more states. Was Oregon colonized?
Yes.
Okay.
The whole of America was colonized.
Yeah,
okay.
All of America was colonized.
So
colonized.
So who should pack up and go?
Literally everyone who's not Native American should either pack the fuck up and go, or they should at least acknowledge that this is stolen land and then decolonize it by probably putting Native Americans in charge.
What do you think that would look like? Because all right, let me throw this out there. I am a native sovereignty absolutist, and I think that they should truly be independent nation states, complete, absolute, total sovereignty.
No, I for sure agree. But I'm from Perkins, you feel me? So.
What's a Perkins?
Perkins is a really small town, not very far from here, that's sitting on Iowa tribe land.
Okay, well, see, I think...
I was actually born here, but I was raised kind of a lot of places. But I grew up a lot in Perkins, which basically means that I grew up on the reservation because it's sitting on 10 feet away from the reservation. Okay. That's where the offices are. That's where the nation offices are.
Well, what I'm saying is, the reservation should be, our relationship to them should be like that of South Africa and Lesotho, or Rome and the Vatican.
Yeah, I agree.
Completely independent in all ways, shapes, and forms. It's time to cut the cord and do for the Native Americans, every Native nation between Mexico and Canada, we should do for them what we did for the Philippines in 1946 and what Great Britain did for India in 1947.
100%.
I mean, if India and Britain still had the relationship that we have with Native Americans, do you think they'd be landing stuff on other planets right now and having a nuclear triad and being a growing economic power and one of the BRICS? Of course not. But they're able to do that and achieve such glorious potential because they have actual sovereignty. And, that's what I would like to see.
I agree with that. I mean, like I said, I grew up in that kind of environment where, to me in Perkins, if you're driving in Perkins and a Perkins city officer pulls you over, if you want to be an asshole,
no.
I'm going to go get the smoker, I think.
Smoker?
Yeah.
What are you smoking? I told you, I don't do that complicated stuff.
I'm bringing some briskets up, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, cookouts are good.
Briskets?
Yeah. You coming back out tonight? Or
Be in the morning. In the morning.
All right, that's what's up.
Yeah.
It was Jason.
Yes, ma'am.
Unless they got it coming.
Nope, that guy.
He's got it coming, Emily.
Yeah.
I just said no. I didn't like him.
I'm gonna go ahead and throw this out there as well. I enjoyed a wonderful evening last night at Scissortail Park, the night market, and I waited too damn long in line for the Big Bang Theory Chinese noodle food truck.
Okay.
But the guys that came out here last night and did their thing.
There were two groups.
Right. I mean, you know what I'm talking
ones
about.
up here.
The gun-toting
The
folk.
dick ones? Yeah. I got you.
The optics on that were just terrible. You know, to be a counter protester to people that are commemorating Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech.
That's, yeah.
You know, is that something that anyone in their right mind would want to counter protest, to protest against, basically? That's saying you disagree with that. You know, so again, the optics on that are just terrible. And
Did you see what the name was? Together Against Solidarity. I was
okay,
like, that's the dumbest fucking
that
thing
is
I've ever
that
heard.
is very contradictory for
That's
one
what
thing.
I was like,
That is
wow,
wow.
those words mean the
my,
same
my,
thing.
my think muscle hurts.
That's what like, just to add to it, like, these are the people
Yeah.
who thought they should protest against the commemoration of Martin Luther King's speech by standing together against solidarity.
Yes, we want to be together against togetherness.
They go do some fucking acid or something.
And I was saying this to Trevor earlier. You know, when all the stuff was going down at the county courthouse with that atrocious abomination of a resolution to create free speech reservations, if you will, to send the protesters off to the reservation, out of sight, out of mind. Where were these gun-toting folk that believe in liberty so much? Why were they not defending freedom of speech? It's everybody's freedom of speech. It would affect them and anyone else. And it's just sad that they didn't want to fight that fight.
They don't care.
You know?
They don't actually bother to look into what's going on in their communities, to what we're actually protesting against. They just said, Black Lives Matter. White lives matter too. I'm going to go protest against them. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, that's not even... Like, they don't understand the message at all. They just show up just to be hateful. And then they don't see that. They're like, oh, we're here to defend property.
Yeah, it's not, well, first of all, that's actually illegal in Oklahoma, and it's not your property. So. You know, like, well, I'm here to make sure you're not burning stuff down. Well, you know what? Are you the fire department? That's not your job.
They're civilians. They call themselves patriots because they don't want to call themselves civilians.
Yeah.
They can't call themselves soldiers, so they call themselves patriots.
And then you can't say militia. If they say militia.
Oh, because no, that's a racist thing there. That's a whole different can of worms.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're patriots.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
And how come I have to live in the one country on earth where patriot means racist?
right? No fucking joke.
Like, you ever notice it's the patriots who are like, Black lives don't fucking matter. But those are Americans too, you dick.
Very, very good point. You know, that's a thing. It's about, you know, again, finding common ground, common standards and expectations for all Americans. You know, equality before the law is where it all starts. You know, if we lose that, you know, that's the equality that matters. If we lose that, that's when discrimination and oppression starts. That's when the seeds get planted.
Exactly what I've been saying.
You know, it's like
I can't expect my lawmakers to not be racist pieces of shit when the citizens who voted for them are racist pieces of shit.
Yeah.
I can't even fight them in there about it because I gotta fight these people out here first. Because I gotta convince these fucking people that it's okay for me to hold hands with a black boy. That we're not a different species.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a great point, because a lot of people do that. They take the term race and they treat it like it means species, and they don't understand the terminology or any of that. And, you know, hey, eugenics is not a 4-letter word. You know, let's mix things up a little bit here.
Like, legit, I'm white. Okay, I pass as a white person. My father got the recessive genes, white skin, green eyes, black hair. The rest of my family is brown as fuck. Yeah. My own mother, Emily, if I knew that you came from a brown family, I wouldn't have had you. My own mother, that is the shit that we deal with. I don't speak to my mother. She lives in Lawton, Oklahoma. I don't speak to her.
The good old shady 580.
Yeah.
Lawton.
Yeah,
that thing right there, make sure you take that when you go to Lawton. You need that there.
Yeah, no, it's, and something I want to add about native land in Lawton and fucking Fort Sill, and you can Google this shit. It was, don't quote me on the year, but I want to say maybe about in between 2005 and 2007, Fort Sill was expanding their barracks, their apartments that they had. They happened upon Native American burial
grounds.
You know, because Geronimo's up there on the reservation.
Well, formerly, his grave is still there.
Yeah,
Thank you, Prescott Bush.
But they happened upon these remains, and the government, they said they told the Comanche nation that they had, I don't remember the amount of days, but I know it no more than 2 weeks to excavate what they could, and they built on top of it. Yeah. And that's what we deal with. Like, that's what I'm talking about when I say colonization. That's an army base that's doing that.
Oh yeah. Well, and if you look at the history of the army bases and the posts and their positioning throughout, the United States during westward expansion, and while they're there, it was for the Plains Indians Wars.
Yeah.
And for territorial acquisition, and the covered wagon being the true weapon of mass destruction during that time. That people don't want to talk about that.
No, because everyone wants to glorify the pioneer days, because the pioneers didn't have hatred in their hearts. They just wanted to fucking set a better life for themselves. I understand that, but you fucking did it by destroying, burning, and murdering a whole entire goddamn fucking people.
And chopping off their kids' hairs and sending them to
the Plains schools.
The genocides that I was talking about. Schools. There it is. That's the one.
My boyfriend is Native American. His family are Native. They are red people, and to listen, to the shit that they have to say, and to hear how they feel about it. It's like, I can sit here and preach what I preach all day long, but it sucks. Like, when you have black people telling you that there's police brutality against them, when you have natives telling you, like, hey, like, I appreciate your cause, but, like, you shouldn't fucking be here. Like, you have to, like, it sucks, but I accept it. I'm second generation, sure, like, I didn't fucking do any of this. Nobody living did, but as a Spaniard, I kind of did, and I acknowledge that.
I would judge you on your individual merits. I would not hold anything against you that you did not do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but at the same time, we do have to acknowledge and recognize the things that
our ancestors have.
Well, what would you do in the case of orphans that wouldn't even know about these things?
And not necessarily. Actually, I think that's a part of genocide too. Like, Trevor can't tell us which country.
Right. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier.
His ancestors are from. Right. He cannot tell us.
Yeah.
Not without a DNA.
Just Africa in general, and well, even with not even talking about African Americans, but I love making fun of the one Ancestry.com commercial with the guy that he thought he was Scottish and he's wearing his kilt, and then he sent his test results off and he finds out, well, I'm actually German. Now I'm going to wear lederhosen. So I'm just going to change my entire conception and identity over this. No, sir, you are ridiculous. Just be you. You create your identity.
Neither Irish nor Scottish nor German.
The whole is greater than the sum of its parts, and the more parts, the better.
America.
Yeah,
exactly.
Whereas my mother is a white woman. That was her favorite fucking thing. She did a 23andMe. Okay.
Yeah.
She didn't have she loves to fucking preach it. She didn't have a drop of colored blood in her.
Wow, that's gross and weird.
Yeah, isn't that fucking disgusting?
Yeah, not that a drop is a actual scientific thing.
Yeah, but she had no percentage of any of that, and then she thought that was so much fun that she got an Ancestry.com, and of course it tracked her all the way back
10,000 years and shit.
The fucking,
She's brown, isn't she?
No.
Well, I mean, if you go back far enough, everybody is. I mean, if you can be honest about it.
She came over.
My brother's 23andMe results came back with. My brother is half Dutch, all right? We don't have the same dad. And my brother is half Dutch. So his results came back 49% Dutch. Cool, because we know my dad is 100%. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
49% is pretty solid. Got it. Came back 47% Irish. Which means I am approximately also 47% Irish.
Yeah.
Give or take, more or less, right? Because I don't know my biological dad. I just know he was half Mexican. That's all I got for you.
Which half? Right arm, left leg? How do you cut them? How does that work?
Right down the middle.
You know, are humans people, or are we? Are humans people, or are they pie charts?
I vote for pie. I always vote for pie.
I'm gonna go with people.
Fucking pie is better than people.
I mean, well, if you're eating, don't eat people. Don't eat people. I don't care how you cook them and how you season them. Let's not eat people.
Unless we're metaphorically eating the people.
Yes.
Get your head.
You heard it first. None of us are in favor of cannibalism.
No, but I'm in favor of being eaten out. So.
There we go.
Yes. Tastes great, less filling, low calorie, delicious.
Boom.
Say no more.
Satisfying.
There you go. It's like Snickers.
It is okay to be proud of, where you are from. Like,
why? Why be proud of something that's not a personal, individual accomplishment or something you didn't do?
Proud. Sorry, I shouldn't say proud.
Celebrate.
My grandmother, my abuela, she is a Cuban woman. I am a Cuban woman, and I celebrate that. Sure, I don't like what the fuck Castro did.
You are because I think, therefore I am. You are because you say you are, and no one should be able to argue that with you.
Absolutely.
And luckily, being not Native American, you don't have to prove it to anyone.
Exactly.
They're the only ones in the world that have to prove that they are who they say they are, which is another level of messed upness.
Fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean, and here.
And then you got to prove that you have enough percent to still count.
There you go.
1/64 is not going to cut it.
Let's put a bit of politically incorrect honesty on it. CDIB cards, that's nothing more than American Kennel Club paperwork for people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And if you put it in those kind of terms, it really brings it home for people to understand what's going on.
Yeah, and it really is.
And doing it that way, having the blood quantum requirements, that's one of the rare occasions when the U.S. government is able to play the long game, and they're just waiting them out for the slow extinction.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, because as soon as you fuck enough white people, black people,
or anybody, then we'll talk about black people, and then we'll segue. Then we'll segue into freedmen issues. And their issues and their rights and whatnot in various tribal nations and exclusions and things that are happening on the West Coast with retroactive disenrollments so that they can get more money in their individual per cap checks. But there's some chicanery going on there.
Is that the thing where you switch from one role to another role to get like the better?
Well, no. What they're doing in some of the groups out on the West Coast, basically they're going back. They're looking at the genealogy, and they're like you were saying, you got to have just enough. Yeah. They're looking back. They're going back and they're looking for people to say, okay, well, 8 generations ago, you didn't meet the cut. So now, today, we're going to take you off the rolls, and that way we're going to lower our overall population, but our amount of money stays the same.
So 8 generations ago,
right, or whatever it is.
You had a half-white dad.
Yeah. So
and everyone since then has been full-blood Native American.
Yeah, or even those cases of people say, well, I'm full-blooded Indian, but it's like 7 different tribes. But it still counts because it's all not whatever's non-Native American. But that's what they do. They lower the overall population numbers, but the amount of money to disperse stays the same. Therefore, each check is larger.
So it's kind of what I was talking about that's going on here then. Not the same, but on a similar... There are people here who are finding out that they have enough of the DNA, their percentage is high enough, right, to qualify for 2 different tribes. Mm-hmm. And so they're going, okay, but which tribe has the better...
Who's going to give me the better deal?
Okay, well, I was born on this roll here.
Yeah.
But I have enough blood to switch over
And again, if they had actual sovereignty and they get to decide for themselves their citizenship criteria, who cares?
Exactly.
Who cares? It's the United States government playing with them. I mean, again, you can't have sovereignty if Congress can vote you out of existence at a whim.
Yeah.
Can Congress vote tomorrow and say Lithuania no longer exists?
What was it called? Anyway, so like a bill, not a bill, like a law just passed, like a judgment or whatever, that basically said that Oklahoma, like half of Oklahoma.
Okay, I was going to get to that. The McGirt decision, the McGirt Supreme Court decision.
Yes.
And I have a friend that benefited from this, from a case that had been pending, and they kept kicking the can down the road, and then McGirt came along, and his judge said, "Okay, Your Honor, Mr. Hubbard, he turns out he's got enough Choctaw, he's got a card, and all right, case dismissed." And Tulsa PD, or Broken Arrow Police, they're like, "Okay, well, that's nice, but we're not going to return your property to you as part of this case." Because, we'll see if the tribe will take it or a federal court will take it.
Right.
So, there's corruption there, and, it's not really police brutality, but, people, throwing their weight around.
So that judge decided, he was like, hey, this land was awarded as part of that treaty, so it falls under this district.
Right. Basically, they're saying that when Oklahoma became a state, the Creek Reservation was never de-established by Congress. Therefore, it is still there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Because I didn't fully understand what was going on with that. I was like, if that's still a sovereign nation, then we should, in theory, be able to do the same thing within that nation that we do within Perkins, which is in Perkins, if you get pulled over by a cop, fuck cops, right?
Yeah.
So on behalf of fuck cops, we got to fuck with the cops. So every time you get pulled over in the city limits of Perkins by a city officer, just to be an asshole, you say, I would like this to be overseen by an Iowa tribe officer.
Yeah.
They have to call the Iowa tribe because I'm on Iowa tribe land.
Yeah. Yep.
This is a sovereign nation. I have requested the sovereign people to oversee this stop. You have to
which,
do it.
Which, it is, but it isn't, and it's the government playing make-believe, and it just creates all these hoops to jump through.
In the city of Perkins, that jurisdiction is still recognized.
Right, and this is a really weird thing.
But that's where I get confused with the Creek thing, does that make that half of Oklahoma that they can do that same exact asshole thing that we do in Perkins? Because that would be dope.
Basically, for federal major crimes, but there've already been precedents set for things that were not major crimes, so it's creating some chaos.
Okay.
And
like a domino effect.
Right. Oh yeah.
It's not there yet, but it's going to happen.
It very well could. It very well could. So there's some madness there. Go Perkins.
Right.
I had a thought on the tip of my tongue, but it went poof.
It's gone.
You poofed it.
It's fair.
You're
My
a poofer.
bad.
I forgive you. It's all right.
It's because I had to tell you about Perkins and how they fuck with the cops. It's beautiful.
That's great. Good to know.
Yeah, it's fucking fun.
Good.
That's a good time.
I probably won't ever find myself down there, but
No.
There's no reason. And if you did find yourself there, you might not notice that you were there.
Oh, all right. I remember what it was. Okay, so when it comes to issues with Native Americans, like for instance, this congressional election, this runoff election we just had with Stephanie Bice and Terry Neese, and they said, well, Terry Neese falsely claimed to have deep roots with the Cherokee Nation or whatever.
Right.
And that wasn't the case. So you'll see these good, wholesome Christian people that will they don't have a problem with claiming Native American connections. Yet, what are their thoughts on Sharia law? Terribly dumb. Well, yeah, but they're like, ain't no way, not in my country. We ain't gonna allow that.
I like when they call it Shania law.
Yeah, like Shania Twain. Yeah, but this McGirt decision has implemented the equivalent of Sharia law in Tulsa and east thereof. If you really think about it, because you're having a different set of rules applying to a different set of people for that that particular reason. It's not based on religion,
right?
But it's based on ethnicity.
And that's what I was wondering.
And so, I'm wondering with the crime rates and demographics and the statistics on that, and BLM, Tulsa crime. I've seen the crime shows, Tulsa Live PD and First 48 and all that. Yeah, the propaganda.
I don't go based off of propaganda.
Okay. But well, I think it is safe to say that in all of the protests and discussions that African Americans are disproportionately targeted by the criminal justice system.
Right, for sure.
So what are their thoughts now when they get arrested in Tulsa for a particular crime, and then Native American guy gets arrested for the same crime, and, well, poof. Where's equal protection of the law? Where's the 14th Amendment? Where's the Civil Rights Act?
In my opinion, and that's what I was wondering when I brought up the Perkins thing. In Perkins, I can throw a fit and act an asshole.
Yeah.
And make it switch over to Iowa Tribe, even though I am not Iowa.
Yeah.
I can force the situation to fall into Iowa Tribe jurisdiction because I know that I can do that. So therefore, in Tulsa, could the random black person who's not fucking, what was it, Creek?
Yeah, Creek. Right. They can't.
Not Creek at all. But could he then be like, this is Native American land. This isn't your jurisdiction at all. They'll give me a Native officer.
Yeah, they can't do that. It's something that has to happen once you get into the criminal justice system and have your attorneys do it. And again, it's supposed to be just for these major crimes.
Right.
But, we're seeing things in a state of flux. And, things are being chipped away at because of the magnitude of this decision.
Right.
And, like I said, getting back to what I was saying about sovereignty, I think it'd be great if they just said, all right, look at the map. Here's the silhouette of that area. Let's just say that's another country. Passports, currency, the whole 9 yards. Why not?
I agree. And then if you want to have an open border between you and that place, like we used to have with Canada, then that's fine. But it should still be its own sovereign nation.
Right. Here's the thing. There's no reason why we should hang so tightly to this idea that there should only be 3 sovereign nation states in North America forever. Because, really, if you really truly want to get down to it, that's what the so-called U.S. Civil War was about.
Yeah.
Keeping 3 countries in North America, not 4. It was a war over dirt.
No, the Civil War was definitely a war about slavery.
But they had to control the dirt to say what happened on it. They wanted to conquer that other nation state and take their dirt.
Yeah, but that other nation state only wanted to become a nation state so that they could own black people.
Well, if they have sovereignty, they can do whatever they want within their borders.
Right.
Look what happens in Saudi Arabia.
Over land when the only reason they wanted that land was so that they could own black people. It was still fought over slavery.
Well, here's the thing. They left. They were a country. Let's not act like they weren't.
No, they were a country.
Yes, the Confederate States of America was a country.
Yes.
The Native American nations that, the 5 civilized tribes in Oklahoma entered into treaties and agreements with the Confederate States of America and took their slaves with them to fight against the United States of America.
Them did, yes.
Okay. There's a war over dirt to make that territory, to conquer and annex that territory and say, this is the United States of America.
That's not what started the war, though.
But that's what it was about, ultimately.
That's not what it was about, ultimately. What it was about, ultimately, is what started it. They left because they wanted to own slaves. So that was their reason and their motive.
And
that is
more power to them.
Not more power to, I'm going to own humans, and you can't stop me.
That's what sovereignty means. Absolutely. You get to do whatever you want within your borders.
We still went to war with Germany.
Right, because they attacked us. Well, actually Japan attacked us. Japan attacked us.
We fucking went to war with Germany.
Well, yeah, after we declared war on Japan because they were allies.
Before.
No.
I don't know you. I'm not going to wave.
Yeah, but prior to that, the United States, we didn't care about, concentration camps in Germany. That was their internal issue. Even President Roosevelt, when his Secretary of State, Henry Morgenthau, said, please, Mr. President, can we do something about the camps?
He was like, no, we're going to stay neutral.
Well,
blah, blah, blah.
Even after we were in the war, he said, I don't care. He said, this is a Protestant nation. Jews and Catholics exist at our sufferance. That's literally what he said.
This is not a Protestant nation.
I'm going to have to agree with you. I agree 100%. But that was the sick, twisted thoughts in FDR's head when he was running the show in his after he had 5 terms.
So many fucking. I think it was 4.
Yeah, well,
he died in the 4th one.
He died in the 5th.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he had a full 4.
Yeah, he had a full 4, and thank goodness for term limits. Yes, oh my goodness.
No, term limits only exist because of him.
Yes.
After he died.
Yeah.
They set the term limits so that wouldn't happen again.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Thank goodness for them, so that we don't have that again.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, because fuck. maybe Jimmy Carter would still be president.
Oh my goodness,
Like if I'm real hopeful. I don't know.
You know, I think back to like, oh my goodness, like 10 years ago when other countries like when India had Dr. Manmohan Singh, a guy with a PhD in economics from Oxford as their prime minister.
Will you take me to the we're gonna smoke with the fucking Nazi?
There has been a lot of, since you've been down here, there's been a lot of dialogue that's happened differently. And
Okay.
so
Will you take me to get my card just because I really need to go to the bathroom?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. I'm gonna go
Bathroom
to the
break.
bathroom and then I'm gonna come back.
Okay.
So
I might be here. I'm not sure.
You're still here. We can
Adrian,
for
you
sure
gonna be here?
continue this conversation.
Stay here, okay?
All right.
Stay here for us. You're okay, man.
What was your name, actually?
This is Adrian. This is Adrian Otap.
Okay, that's what's up. Adrian, I'm Mia.
Yeah. Take care.
Appreciate you, Adrian.
Hey guys.
Hey everybody.
We had a good discussion tonight. It was a success all around, right?
Hell yeah.
I mean, some really good talks. I like that.
Definitely.
And they still have a tent out there.
Hell yeah.
So they're planning to stay all night. Is that their thing?
Yeah, they're gonna play all night. I mean, that's good. They're exercising their First Amendment as they should. And to my ranchers out there, you guys are the beacon of this country. So the ranchers out there, my heart goes out for all y'all. Keep doing an amazing job because y'all are the drive of this country. And what needs to happen more is, especially after what happened with our brother Robert LaVoy Finnegan being assassinated in Oregon behind the Uranium One deal and the Clintons and all that, and trying to steal the land from the Hammonds. I'm also here for you guys because at the end of the day, and I reiterate, y'all, the ranching community, are the beacon of this country, just like our military. And at the end of the day, these politicians don't care. They already sold the ranchers, our military out, and our police officers. And obviously, unfortunately, there are some bad apples in that. And we cannot, and we have to be actually open and understand that there are bad apples in every organization. And at the end of the day, it affects everybody. And what's bringing down is causing tensions amongst groups. Mm-hmm. So we have to be, always use the nodal and always have an eye open, because at the end of the day, we all Americans. And I'm going to stand with my military. I'm going to stand with my ranchers, and I got to stay with you guys over here protesting the First Amendment. Because if those that understand what happened with Robert LaVoy Finnegan, for those that understand with the former naval intelligence William Cooper or Bill Cooper, or what happened in Waco, Ruby Ridge, these are God-loving Americans.
Good old gas 'em and burn 'em, Janet Reno.
And no one held accountable within government. That's what they want. And until we, the American people, the military, the blue, the ranchers, Black Lives Matter, we all come together and have dialogue and understand who our number one enemy is. It's those right there behind that. And the media. Media is about ratings and our advertisements. Right there. So God bless our military. God bless our ranchers. God bless our children against Child Protective Services. That the number one theft of children are white children that are blonde with green eyes. And God bless our country and our 45th president. Let the American people know the truth.
Well, I think we're just going to end on that high note. Where's the stopping button? Hey, it must be that one right there that says stop. I'm going to tap that thing, see what happens.